Well, a run of 4 games without a win have pretty much ruined any chances we had of making it into the playoffs. We've got 7 games to go, and we're 7 points, I think, away from that final playoff position. So, as much as I want to never say never, it's not looking likely this season. But, build up a run of form, get us ready for next year and all that. There's bingo cards out. There's still plenty to play for. Hello and welcome to Season 6, Part 8 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we have got league games against Leeds and Swansea. The Leeds one, incredibly important. They're the team currently sat there in 6th place. We're 7 points behind them. If we're going to have any chance at all of closing that gap and having a late sneak into the playoffs, we must win the first of today's 2 games. We've put ourselves in this position as well by this little run of form where we really could have done better than we have. 4 games without a win, 3 of them are defeats. We've recovered a little bit of a 4-0 win against Hull and a 1-0 against Walsall. But, we've had too many of these little patches of no green throughout the season, and I guess it's high standards coming off the back of winning the league 2 seasons in a row. I expect more, even though we're playing at a much higher level than you would expect us to be able to do. But enough of any of that. We've got to beat Leeds today. The team that we're going to put together to try and do exactly that is this one. In goal, we've got Nick de Jong. Miguel has been injured. He's still not completely fit. There's nothing between these 2 keepers. I don't see any reason to swap them back over. Neither of them are fully fit. Neither of them are in particularly good form. Neither of them will be here next year. So why not give Nick de Jong a little bit of a run in the team when Miguel has already played 38 games this year and proven himself to not be as good as Ted Smith last year. Back 4 to Melty, Howarth, Jackson and Fowler with Cool, Amoros and Steyenvorden in midfield with Benteke in behind Jack Marriott and Martel Taylor-Crossdale up front. There's already areas for improvement screaming out at me in that team. We need a new keeper. We need a permanent left back. We need a proper striker to go up front with Taylor-Crossdale or Sinclair. We probably need something a little bit more creative in that midfield, even if it is moving Benteke back. And we need a proper right back, because Fowler's a centre back and will probably be playing there next year, assuming we don't get to keep Howarth. So already starting to think in terms of what we're going to need to do in the summer, and that's just if we stay in this league. If the unthinkable does happen, we go and stuff Leeds today, close that gap to 4 points with 6 games to go. Suddenly the chase is on, and if we do manage to sneak into the Premier League, this is going to have to be the summer where we have wholesale changes. We can't keep this core of the team that has got us up from League 2 together for another season, surely, because we've had Jackson, Benteke, Taylor-Crossdale. They've been the spine of this team from League 2, League 1 into the Championship. None of them are Premier League players. None of them ever will be Premier League players. So either this summer or next, they're all going to need replacing. So over the course of the next 12 to 18 months of save, expect wholesale changes to the whole squad, really, regardless of what division we're going to be in. But it starts with those priorities that we looked at pre-match, and we're 1-0 down. The dream is all but over. It's not going to happen for us. If we lose this game, we're 10 points behind Leeds with 6 games to go. That is about as close to insurmountable as a gap can get without it being mathematically assured. And it's right on the stroke of half time as well. And de Jong just didn't even move for it. It just makes me sad seeing things like that happen. We haven't really got much in the way of anything to bring off the bench to try and turn it around either. We've very much been found out in the second half of this season, which, it's fine. I'm over the grumpiness. I've still got a bit of a sore throat, but I'm over my grumpiness and my negativity. This has still been an outstanding season for us. We've avoided relegation off the back of 2 straight promotions. That shouldn't be possible to do without a sugar daddy. We've done it. Huzzah. It just would have been nice just to keep the run going that a little bit longer. Let's bring... we've got Zelalim on the bench. I'm saying we don't have anyone to come on and change the game from midfield. We haven't brought him on because that wasn't the most obvious place we needed to make an improvement, although he's going to come on for Steyenvorden now. And with 10 minutes to go, it's probably a little bit too late for Zelalim to come on and change the game. He's been found out a little bit this season. He's not been the superstar this year that he was last year. Still a decent championship player, but not a match winner at this level, I don't think. Oh, Cool has just... Did he hit the post? Was it a save? It was a cracking free kick. And, I think that's probably going to be our last chance of the game and our last roll of the dice for this season, really. Because with 3 seconds to go in this match, that gap is now too big. Although Swansea and Brentford are still sort of in the sights, but 8 points with 6 games to go isn't going to happen. If it was going to happen, we had to win today. We didn't. Oh, but now we're playing Swansea. We're almost in exactly the same situation now, because Swansea are now the team who were in the Leeds position. So if we beat Swansea, the gap goes down to 5 points with 5 games to go. It's still on. We can lose to Leeds and still do this, everybody. Right, what I didn't realise when I was getting really excited right at the end there was that Swansea had a game in hand at that point. They've now played the game in hand. They're now 11 points clear of us. So even beating them today doesn't do much. We have still got Brentford, who are only 8 points ahead of us with 6 games to go. So if we win, they lose. It's still possible-ish. But we've got Everton sat there between us. We've got Watford sat between us and them. The chances of them crumbling, us having a good run of form, and none of these teams also having a good run of form, fairly slim. We'll just give it a go. If we don't win today and win convincingly, then it's all over anyway. We've made a couple of changes for this game. Miguel comes back in goal because Nick de Jong didn't try and save the shot in the last one. Field comes back in at left back because he's had a little bit of a moan that he doesn't play enough, and he is our player, so we should probably play him a little bit more. Zelalim comes into the midfield at the expense of Cool. Just to try and give us a bit more of a creative spark in there. And Jerome Sinclair comes in to partner Taylor Crossdale up front because they don't do it often enough. And one thing I do need to work out before the end of this season, again, regardless of what division we're in, is whether or not Jerome Sinclair and Martel Taylor Crossdale can play together. They're very, very similar players. They're both excellent at the poacher role. They both score plenty of goals when they play in that position. Neither of them particularly want to be the defensive forward alongside. And I know we could do something tactically a little bit different there, but I think one of the reasons we've been as successful as we are is because we've used the defensive forward really well. We get that closing down. We don't give them any time, any pressure. We've seen the number of goals that we've scored from these situations where we've closed down the opposition players. I don't want to lose that from the team. So if these two can't play together, if one of them can't become a defensive forward between now and the start of next season, we need to sign a proper one. And we've given away a penalty, and it's right on the stroke of half-time. Again, what is it with conceding goals with the last kick of a half? Because we've just done it again. We're 1-0 down again. It really is all over at this point. We're going to finish mid-table. Let's be positive about that. But goals on the stroke of half-time are sickening, and that's a beautiful penalty. I mean, why don't we strike penalties that well? Although, to be fair, we rarely miss penalties. Make a note of that. Some point in the second half, we're going to miss a penalty, just so you're aware for editing. Yeah, cool. I don't know what to do to try and get us back into this game. We've just run out of steam. We have people have mentioned it in the comments before as well. We've been on the most ridiculous run of good form. The longest run of good form anyone's ever seen in Football Manager, because we're still, at our core, a League Two team who've just been in cracking form for 2.5 seasons. And it was going to come to an end sooner or later. It has come to an end over the last couple of months of our life in the Championship after a really, really good start. I think it's probably time to move on this summer. When I said that yesterday, you all destroyed me in the comments and told me I had to stick around. I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I know if we're thinking in terms of an enjoyable YouTube save, people like the whole take a club all the way into the Premier League, all that stuff. That's not really how I play the game, and it's not really how this series is supposed to work. This is supposed to be full-on realism mode, making the decisions I would make in real life. Now, no one has offered me an interview during my time at Southend so far, but that's in a big part because I haven't applied for any jobs either. Realistically, if this was real life and I had really had the kind of run at Southend that I've had now, and it was now coming to an end with a bit of mid-table, I'd be looking at this squad and thinking, you know what, look at our form in the second half of that season. That was relegation form. We were saved by a good start. We've got no money to spend. We've been found out. Now's probably the time to move on. And I'm certain that's a thought process I would have, because it's the thought process I'm having. I'm not entirely sure, unless we do find a sack of cash from somewhere, I'm not entirely sure we can stay up next season. Because I think we just had a really, really good start to this year. And if you look at the form table, which we can have a look at the form table when we're done, we're in the relegation zone. And I'm not sure we've got the quality in the club to turn that around. So a lot of my decision process is going to be based on how much transfer budget I'm given. If I'm given £5 million to spend and an extra 50 grand a week on my wage budget, we'll do another season. If I'm told to make do with what I've got and then hit mid-table again, I think I'll be applying for a few jobs and seeing if there's anyone, one of the bigger championship clubs or a lower Premier League club. Nicholas Schiavi, what a player he's been. He's been on the transfer list all season. I don't know why he's still on there, other than the fact that putting him on there seems to have sparked him into life. He didn't have a great season last year in League One. He's almost as good as he was down in League Two again as a transfer-listed championship player. And he doesn't start often enough because he's another one who's a poacher. He's in the same mould as Taylor Crossdale and Sinclair. We've got too many of that kind of striker, and we haven't got the Raquel Pike foil that we need. And I know he's still knocking around the club, but he's broken and done, I think. We're going to be moving him on in the summer. And it's a shame. And Jack Marriott, as much as I like him, and as much as he was a very useful player for us last year, he's never going to be a championship footballer as long as he lives. There you go. We'll bring him on now to give him the opportunity to try and prove me wrong. But even if he scores, that proves nothing, Jack. You don't do it often enough. What have we got? We've got 15 seconds to grab a last-minute winner and keep a real long shot of a dream alive. But it's not going to happen. The time is run out. It's only a draw. We've only got 5 games left. We've got, 9 points to make up and 4 teams to leap past with only 5 games to go. We're going to be in the Championship next season, and if you'd have offered me that at the start, I'd have bitten your arm off. Now it all comes down to what kind of budget are we going to be given, and are we going to be looking to move on either to a bigger Championship club, a lower Premier League club, maybe even move abroad. There you go. Look, we have secured our safety, and we've paid out a couple of bonuses because of it. God, he's done well out of his move to us, hasn't he? But played about 20 minutes of football, and we've just given him 17 grand for his trouble. So tomorrow's episode will be the final 2 games of the season, Forest and Burnley, which will just be probably most of this time now is going to be spent rotating, trying different options, maybe trying another formation, and making plans for next year, whether they're within Southend or somewhere else. If you've enjoyed that, make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.